how do people have the audacity to message like anybody on the internet? Like if I were to go onto like you see Barstool Sports, they start posting a bunch of like half naked girls or whatever. I'm not even gonna follow that because I know Brittany might take a look and see that. Or my friends might take a look and see, oh, this guy's doing this. But these people are like, oh, look, it's a 15-year-old on TikTok. I could probably DM her. Nobody will know. Like, I've only got like 50,000 followers that care about what I talk about. They won't know. Straddling.
Anyways.
Straddling. Welcome to a... Wait, what did I just say? Welcome to another day where we waste your time for an hour and a bit. Today we're joined with our first in-house guest.
Hey.
We have our friend Matthew. We only refer to him as Matthew. Matt. Me and Matt go way back. We used to work at the beloved Boston Pizza as a... We don't talk about those days too often. But that's how we met each other. That's how we know each other. What was that like for you, Matt?
Okay. There's like...
Going back to the dark times.
Yeah. You have no idea how word for word I was about to say that. Those were dark times for me on two separate layers. But I was dealing with some dark stuff back then, and then going to work and having to deal with just a terrible work environment. Like, being a server, you have these weird dreams. And, like, once you're a server, you understand these dreams of, like, it's always the same thing where you're late for work and you go in and your tables are full, it's just packed, everyone's mad at you, and every table you go to, someone yells at you for something, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's really similar.
It's not similar, it's exact. Like, I would actually go to work, my tables would be packed, they already filled my section before I got there, everyone's pissed that I'm not there yet, and it's like, yo, I don't work yet, like, I'm actually here early. And so then the food comes out very incorrectly, and consistently incorrectly, so I'm just giving people garbage, letting them yell at me, I say sorry, and I leave. And then, as a server, you have to come back and go, how is everything tasting? And then they let me know that it is still garbage.
I know the many times that I came while he was there, it'd be like, oh, can I get this? We're missing 3 of those items. They might be in next week. We're not sure. Can I get a beer? Not those 2.
We're like a tire shop, but it's supposed to be food.
Yeah. Just a very exclusive food.
I think the reason why that strikes me so much is because, like, I watch Kitchen Nightmares, and it's always a fucking shit show. Yeah. And I remember I started watching that show hoping to find something worse to make me feel better, but it was almost the same.
Yeah.
And you go to a place like Boston Pizza because like it's a franchise. They've got enough money to keep going.
There needs to be consistency.
But they just legitimately ran it as if they were just on their last dollars.
Yeah.
The things like Matt already just said it. Like, you just show up and everything's just already gone to hell
already.
And you literally, like, because like I was the manager, so like I'm literally I get on shift. And I'm getting told by my boss, hey, can you go to these 3 tables in this order? I'm like, okay. She's like, yeah, everything's gone wrong for the last hour. Can you go deal with it? I'm too stressed. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, I don't even think, like, normally I would say it's, maybe a little pig-headed to assume that you don't make mistakes. It's everyone else around you. But my legitimate feeling was I didn't have time to make mistakes.
Yeah.
The only mistakes that I had the ability to create is if I just, like, made something worse by, like, telling someone to go fuck themselves, which obviously never happened. I'm just getting there and putting out fires from the jump. Yeah. And I'm just like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, you're like giving yourself a pep talk before work. Like, you could do this. You got this, man. You go into war. Like, every time you're gearing up. Like, it's bad.
It was so amazing, too, because in the same way that you kind of started off on how it was like a dark time, I remember when I would get to work and I'd be walking in, I always walked in with my head down thinking, I want to be somewhere in my life. And every moment that I've slacked off, fucked around, I didn't finish the drill, couldn't finish the rap, just didn't want to. this is the world punishing me for this moment.
It's led me
my
here.
laziness has led me to stay here for any longer than I need to.
This is my fault.
I was like, I took every day as a punishment. Like, I'm serving my time. Like, I was in a penitentiary.
Like, one day I'm good. Now you got scratched numbers in the back.
And, like, you know, you should really think, like, that's a fucked up mindset to be in for your place of work.
It really, really was.
Like,
yeah.
if you're not already depressed, that pushes you so much further into that space. Yeah. And now it's like, I always told people, like, if this isn't the place for you, like, you gotta do what's right for you. I said that coming from a place where I was like, I'm stuck here. I'm fucked. My life shit. But, like, that was
you
so...
Can get out.
You can get out. I can't. My life's over. But, like, that was
too late for me.
was so unhealthy for even me. And, like, I honestly... It was such a bad mindset. And, like, I always told myself, like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta figure... And it's not even, like... Maybe someone could be happy in that environment, but the headspace that I was in particular, that I know you shared, was like, being here longer is really fucking me up. And it wasn't really until, like, Hope was like, no, you need to get the fuck out of there, that I was like, all right, deadlines met, deadlines had, I'm gone.
Day one of not being there, my life was instantly better. Like,
Actually,
everything about my life improved as soon as I had another job.
Right? Having a new job, just like...
People were happy to see me. Like, it was weird. Weird.
Man,
hellos.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that was something else.
So, speaking of which, where did you jump to after?
Okay, so Boston Pizza was, like, actually one of my first ever non-labor jobs. It was, like, I was doing landscaping, heavy-duty mechanics. I even worked on the oil field for a while.
You've literally done everything.
I've been around the block. I used to, like, run a hydraulic department. Yeah, I got it passed.
Man's got some skeletons.
There we go.
But yeah, so then, like, just trying to change my life, trying to, like, present myself in a more, I don't know, approved manner. Like, I didn't want to be dirty all the time. Like, and, like, speaking really loosely. I wanted to, like, like, wear nice clothes and things like that.
Yeah.
I wanted my job to reflect
Well, that's ultimately the thing, too. Like, I did a labor job for a hot minute, and my biggest complaint was, my hands are always dirty. I have dirt under my nails. I feel gross.
Yeah, so I was working from, like, 13 or 14, and I was just like, that was the way it is, right? So finally, like, okay, let's do something else. I got a job bartending up at a ski resort. The coolest time of my entire life. I was the head bartender, and it was like, it was awesome. Snowboarding every day and just bartending all
Can you
night.
imagine?
Like, it was sick.
That would be so much fun.
It was
like,
actually sick. It was so cool. So I went
like
from
living
that.
in a movie.
Yeah, the season ends, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to keep doing that. Go to Boston Pizza. And they're like so excited to hire me. They're talking about me being a manager.
You had
and it's
such
like
good experience,
I'm
and everyone was
thinking
12.
Yeah, they think I'm just like the hot shit. And I'm thinking like, oh, imposter syndrome. Like these, they have no idea I don't know what I'm doing. And so I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what. Like I won't be a manager for right now. Let's just let me serve for a bit and we'll go from there.
I don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Exactly. Like it was that vibe. And like, so the first little bit, it was like, okay. And then it just kind of slowly gets worse and worse and worse. And like, I think by the time you had worked there, that's when it was everything had fallen apart. It was just a pile of shit.
So, just for the record, did my absolute best to try and make it as tolerable as possible.
We all did. But yeah,
there was no saving that place.
Oh man, it was a weird place to be. But after that, I ended up going over to Earl's, and that was an actual restaurant. Yeah. Like it was just instantly like
people dress up to go there. They don't bring their 3-year-old children the entire time.
Yeah, people
you can
don't
be proud
nitpick
of the food.
Oh man, it was so fun, and I enjoyed being there, and I was just like basically like it didn't feel like work in the sense of like what I thought work was Boston Pizza. Like you're really, really working for that job.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be working that hard for that kind of job. So it was just, it opened my eyes up to, you're allowed to have fun at work.
and even for me, when I would see you after the fact, your mood was tenfold different.
My life actually got better after that. Like, everything about my life was just better.
It really shows, like, how bad, like, a negative work environment can really, like, set a really messed up tone for you. And just, like, seep into your relationships and everything else you got going on. Because, like...
Because when you look at it, you're spending at least the 8 hours there.
Yeah.
Regardless of, you're probably getting up an hour at least early for work. And if it's a shift environment, you're thinking about it for sure for that hour. The hour after, you're yelling at your wife because you're pissed off at everything else. And you couldn't tell any of these customers how you really feel. So you gotta let her know how you felt, and that's gonna rub off. Yeah. And then you're going to bed in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you have 3 hours of potential sanity.
Yeah.
It's hard to have those kind of jobs and remain a decent person.
Yeah,
it's a struggle.
And like anyone that works like nights knows like I closed legitimately for like I think 2 years straight, pretty much. If you work like night shifts, you're just like you have no sleep. Because like for me, it'd be like I'd get home, everyone's in bed. I'm still a little restless, so like I stay up for maybe like another hour or two, and then next thing you know, oh, like it's 3 or 4 in the morning. I should go to bed. Sleep 8 hours. Oh, cool. It's like noon. Let me like
go to work soon.
Do literally one thing, make a meal, and then go back to work. And I'm just pissed. I'm like, man, like what am I doing?
PTSD, man.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a weird time.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's all over.
It's funny going to like a real restaurant though, where you'd be proud of the food, because like the thing with Boston Pizza that was funny was like, completely out of the ownership's control. Like the people that were working in the kitchen were something.
It was a different level
else.
Yeah,
like, for me, it was like I had zero expectations. I was like, there's just a bunch of idiots. There's like 1 or 2 that are like they can be helpful depending on their mood. Yeah. There was a lot of people that were like, or I say a lot. There's like 2 people that like could be helpful if they were in a good mood, but if they were in a bad mood, they could be the biggest problem in the fucking kitchen. And I'm just like, can you just like stop this?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how do I stop caring so much? Try to remove myself emotionally. Yeah. What if I just fuck with them the whole time? Then I don't care about them. Like I start paying them to eat gravy skin. Like when the gravy bucket sits there for too long and it gets that skin, I'm gonna scrape that off and eat it. Like just get them to do dumb shit.
Little does he know they're doing that anyways. Like, oh, I'll do that again.
The new manager's a sucker.
Like walk past. I walk past like the the dish pit area, and then like I just like crop dust the dish kit like every 5 minutes. So I'm like, I don't like you.
It's a toxic work environment.
Once you get to that point, it's definitely. I'm glad both of you were able to make a personal choice to go somewhere better.
What's crazy though is like he said it. He had it at Earl's, and like obviously I'm at a different restaurant now. It's night and day.
Like you can't even compare. It's like.
And the thing is, too, is like, my bosses pay more attention to what I'm doing, but I don't feel like I'm stressed in the sense that, like, they're Nazis. They're always watching me. I'm under some, like, dictatorship.
No, they were running a business properly.
They're running a business to a point where I'm like, I respect the business. I'm trying to help the business. I'm not snaking the business at any turn. Whereas, like, Boston Pizza, I felt like I was getting completely fucked around all the time. That I'm like, why do I care about your business?
Yeah, why do I respect anything that you're telling me to respect?
It's hard to respect it when I feel like I'm getting shit all day. And then it's like, there was like this like notion that like, oh, if you just like, oh my god, you're so amazing once a week, that I was just like, all of the trauma and like mental and emotional stress I'm going through every week, it's just like forgiven for like garbage pay. What? Like the amount of money I capped out at that job was my training wage at the next one. And I was like, bro, like what? Like it was just crazy to me. And like one of my favorite things that happened was I started this habit of going into the, like I say, I've never even thought about doing this at my new job. It's hilarious for me to look back and think of the shit I was doing at the other one because I just didn't give a fuck. I would like go into the fridge and I would see like these chocolate cakes that have these beautiful chocolate flakes on them, and I'm like, yo. And I did it so often that they would start putting out pieces of cake that were just like missing their toppings. Oh my. And like the owners are like, who the fuck's eating all this cake? I'm like, I don't know, it must be the kitchen guys. And then the kitchen guys are getting shit on to the point where they put a fucking camera in there. I was just like, damn, these guys are gross.
And they still put out the cake.
They did.
They're like, oh, somebody ate a topper.
Yeah.
Well, let's just won't say there's no toppers on these ones.
And this thing, so you look on the fucking menu and you see this beautiful cake with all this shit and all these flakes and this caramel and toppings, and it looked great.
It's just the advertising.
And then you get one with the fucking strip to the bottom. It's just like fucking cream on top. You're like, and like holes where the chips were. There was still like the divot up.
Oh my god. Nice.
It was
The divot.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Yeah, so I didn't like that place.
No. Okay, I remember there was one time I had never met so there was the owner, and then there was her parents. Never met them ever, didn't even really hear stories about them.
Yeah.
There was one day, it was super busy, like most time, like just overly busy for how staffed it was. They won't let me take a break this day, and I'm like starving. I'm so hungry. So it's like over by the server area, getting everything ready. I just reach under, grab a brownie, take a bite, because I'm ready to pass out. Fucking brownies in my mouth, and I look over, and this older lady just walks in, and she's like, "Excuse me? Who do you think you are?" I was like, "No, you did not just take a bite." No. I had no idea who this was. Like, I don't even know how to answer this person.
Yeah.
It was so nerve-wracking. And then sure enough, she just storms off. Brandy comes back. She's like so pissed at me, like threatening to fire me. And I was like, "You won't let me stop working. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I've been here for hours."
Yeah, it was a bad day. Yeah. They had to convince the actual owner that I was like a good employee and stuff so that she didn't kick me out right then and there. And like it got heated very fast because she walked in like brown-handed. Like, yeah. Man, it was bad.
The chipmunk face. You know what? I'm amazed that never happened to me because, like, I'm telling you, Kyle, cookies and milk time. That was not like a rare thing. That was almost an hourly thing. Like, that was.
No,
you get away with a lot.
Remember Timmy's?
Me and Kyle were to Tim Hortons in grade 9 together.
Sitting at the counter, somebody would, do you have any honey crullers? Oh, just one sec, I'll check the back. Walks to the back, eats one, comes like, oh no, we don't have any right now.
Okay, so just to elaborate on this story, me and Kyle worked at Tim Hortons in grade 9, and they said that, you had to pay for pretty much everything, but there was like the couple things that we got for free, from what I remember, was like donuts and coffee. I think were the only things that they wouldn't charge us for. We could just have. Yeah. And like when you say like we can just have, they didn't realize how fucking fat I was. So basically, it's like Matt knows, because I'm sure he'll get to his experience with Tim Hortons shortly. But they have like the rack there, and like there's pressure from management to have that rack full to look like you got fresh product on there. But like if I worked at drive-thru, I would literally like walk past all the donuts, grab a honey cruller, suck it back like it's just matter, and then I'd go and like grab something. But like I was so quick at consuming that I'm on my way back, I grab another one, and like all of a sudden
it was as if it was water. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And sometimes it was just a matter of the coffee machine on this side of the donuts was empty, so I had to go to the other side of the donuts, and that was enough for me to go and suck one back. And like it would get to the point where the girl that was responsible for baking everything would be like, "What the fuck? I made 12 of these 20 minutes ago when they're gone." Yeah. And she would get so frustrated because no one knew where they went, because I was so quick that she would just be like, "Girl, baking isn't doing her job." And so they shit on her, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And then, so she's putting out more. And then finally, she said, there was one day where I just remember, I didn't even pay her attention because I didn't know what she was doing. She's just standing there like this. And she's just watching the donuts to see where they go, because I think she had an idea. I think she knew what she was on to me. And so she watched me, and I remember, like, I sucked one back, and I looked her right in the face because I didn't know what she was doing. And I was just like, "Hey." And I just, like, walked past, and she was like in shock. And then I did it again on the way back. And then she waited like a few minutes because I had another thing I had to go get. And so I walked past again, sucked another one back, and she grabs me by the shirt, and she's like, "You're eating on my fucking donuts." And then I was like, "Yeah, you make such good donuts. I really like." I'm like trying to hype her up like I'm not an asshole. And basically, she was actually way cooler about it than you really should have been. Like, you should have been just mad at me and tell me, "Dustin, stop being a fucking asshole and eating all the product." But her compromise, she would make me an entire dozen honey crullers, put them in the staff room, and those were my donuts. And I wasn't allowed to eat the ones on display. I could only eat those ones. And if I finished all those in the day, she'll make me more. But that was it. Just don't touch the ones on the product.
Yo, making extra is so easy.
I
but
know.
getting rid of the stock, it destroys everything.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between those two situations.
So like I was like, oh, this is blessed, and now I got my cake and eat it too.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
I used to too. I remember the walk-in fridge. They would have like all of the pop bottles, and I was fucking in love with peach juice since like I was a fucking kid. I would always have a bottle like tucked in behind everything, and I was just like, you know, someone's got to catch me, right? Like, how many times am I sitting in there just fucking drinking fucking product? And I'm like, man, there's no one here. I'll stop. I just stick it back in the corner, and then like no one say anything, and then all of a sudden we get like some kind of like message from management being like, cool, there's 20 bottles of empty drinks hiding in the back of these coolers. Where the fuck?
Next week the camera gets put up.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So grade 9, a lot of Tim Hortons products.
Yeah.
Cool.
I left there almost the week I quit because I stopped having that donut intake. I lost 10 pounds in like a week. Like it was like a quick 10. I was like, oh, I feel lighter already. I'm going to high school for the first time. Let's see what this is like.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, we finished with Earls. After Earls, you
Life got weird after Earls.
life got serious.
Life got serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a terrible decision, and I decided to help my parents with their business. It happened to be at Tim Hortons. Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was running this Tim Hortons at 29 years old, and from day one, I just hated my life. And it just slowly got worse, and it was like right back to Boston Pizza vibes. But now I'm the management,
But now
dealing with
you're-
all the shit. Like,
You're the one telling everybody, hey, figure it out.
yeah, but it
And you
was...
got your family involved there too,
Okay,
so
yeah.
it's like it's even a deeper frustration.
Man, okay. Let me be... This is the true core of it all. My decision was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to run this business. It's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, but I'm going to like... I'm gonna figure out all the numbers and stuff. I'm gonna learn how to run this legit. I'm gonna fucking Gary V this shit. Like, just hustle, man. Grind it out. And it's just dealing with people. Okay, so my parents got a divorce within like a couple months of working there, and it just turned into this huge
recipe
thing.
for success.
Exactly, it was great. So my parents are like have very different opposing ideas on how to run a business, and one is very hands-on, and one is extremely hands-off. So being in the middle of that, having like one person control everything to the point that everyone hates being there because they're being told how to walk properly.
Yeah.
And then me being in the middle trying to ease everyone, and then all of a sudden that person leaves and the next person comes in, and then it's just like so open-ended that no one knows what to actually do anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you want to take the day off? Yeah, just get it covered.
Like,
no problem.
Yeah.
When the other person's like,
you
no,
got
I need
some
the
bills?
email.
Let me pay your bills for you. Like that kind of stuff. Like it was a very, very polarizing time. Like it was just every day was just something completely different, and depending on the mood of different people was like how the day transpired.
It's so tough because like even just like, you know, talking about even like dating in the work environment, I've always told like other male staff, like, you don't shit where you eat. Like if you're dating girls that you're going to be working with, if some kind of personal issue gets brought to the workplace, like it's going to be hell for you. You're going to hate it. And then, you know, but at the same time with dating, like you can eventually just like ditch that person if they suck. But like now we're talking about parents, and not just one, 2 parents.
Yeah.
Like the amount of magnitude to the stress and like internal conflict of like, whose side do I take? I don't want to take either side. How do I give them both respect? Like that's just like, it's hurting my head even just to think about it.
Man,
and you lived it.
I lived it. Yeah. It was every day of like, okay, whose side do I have to take to keep the staff happy, basically? Like,
right?
It was messed up.
Because then fucking Bethany comes over here and she's like, Matt, I really don't like how things happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, I have so many other problems.
Yes. Watching the cameras, and I watch every single staff member go by and take a donut. And I'm like, yeah, you deserve that. I'm not saying anything. Every single, you're not the only one, I guarantee you. Everyone was doing it. Because I watch the cameras, and every fucking person looks around and just, yeah, okay, yeah, you've had 3. That's all right, man. I'm just going to go tell my baker to just all of a sudden start making more. I don't want him getting angry, so I'm just going to be like, hey, man, I think I might get busy. Make some more. We have extra donuts for a reason. I don't know why. They just go missing. And I just kind of keep everything just going.
I'm fucking dying.
Yeah. Oh man, it was a very weird environment because what I thought my role was going to be was so far off to like what I ended up having to do every day.
Running the store to just being another employee.
And like basically, and there was never any like me running the store. It was like that's the trick that they got me to come in kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, no, you work for us. So it's like, oh fuck. Yeah, so that was like it was extremely weird. I don't even know how to summarize it anymore.
Now, not to like just like dive into like more personal details, but like in the idea of like removing yourself from a situation that you didn't like what does that take? Like, do you think like what do you think the key is to try and get yourself out of a tough situation?
Man, I feel like at the end of the day, the things that I pick up on are when someone's arguing like with you. Like usually problems get brought up because they want you to argue back. Like it's not like I want this problem to be solved. It's like, hey, I want to fight with you. And that's what I started noticing quite a bit. So what I got good at was removing myself from situations that I didn't need to be a part of. And the problem with doing that is it's very good for my own personal mental health. Mm-hmm. But that is perceived as like the complete opposite effect to the other person, like where they see that as like that's my move in this big overall game of this argument kind of thing of like multi-week long arguments and day-long arguments and just multi-faceted situations.
Oh, I see what you're doing here. I can match that. I can figure out how to fight that.
Right? So it's like I'm doing things for my own mental health to keep myself sane in this toxic environment, but at the same time that's being perceived as my own defiance, and it was just so hard to deal with that.
Yeah,
it was a lot of weird situations like that.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking about, because like working in the restaurant, like I work with a lot of younger people, and sometimes, you know, when it was Boston Pizza, it was literally talking about how do I get out of this workplace because so many people were struggling with just working there. Yeah, but like even with like friends that we've had in the past, you know, most of our friends are good now, but in the past there have been moments, and even some of the, you know, the staff that I work with, they have their own like, you know, toxic relationships with like their significant other or whatever, and it's like having those people find the strength to like realize that what they're doing is so strenuous. It really does take so much of a toll, and like, you know, you always have like just do it.
Yeah.
But like just do it is like one of the, I don't know, it just like dismisses so many other feelings and internal conflicts and simplifies things that are so difficult and like hard to really process. Like it, you know, I personally haven't had that toxic relationship that I have to like fight my way out of. Yeah. But like we've seen it with some of our friends, and like some of the things these girls tell me, like they're some shitty guys.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I do. Just disclaimer, I never tell anyone to like break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. I never say that because I never want to be the one responsible for the decision being made. Yeah. That's like, it's on you.
Some dude's just showing up to your doorstep.
Yeah, tell my girlfriend to break up with me. I didn't say shit.
This is why.
But the thing is though, is like the way people talk to others and make them feel just out of like emotional whiplash, like they're lashing out, like they'll just say something to you because they're feeling a type of way. Like people don't realize what they're saying is unhelpful sometimes, and sometimes it's manipulative, and they don't even realize they're just talking out of the way they feel. And like for example, like one of the girls at work, she's saying that her boyfriend said something along the lines of I've been thinking about breaking up with you lately. Like what is that purpose? What purpose does that serve to help fix whatever's going on here? All that does is make them super anxious, makes them feel like shit, makes them question, should I get out first? Yeah. Like, who checks out first? Well, I don't want to be the one to, like, you know, get my heart broken, so maybe I, you know, and it just creates this mental cycle. I'm like, I don't even know how you rebound from that. Like, to me, that sounds like it's digging so far.
For me, if I were to hear that, that's like just from the outside looking in, is that this person probably has absolutely no idea how to communicate. If they're even saying that sentence right off the bat. So that might be their way of saying that, hey, there's issues, we should talk about it, without having any idea how to do it. Mm-hmm. So if that person's been with this other person for so long, she probably doesn't know how to talk either. So they're just sitting at like a mental fortitude. So I think the big thing with what you were saying about how to get out of it is to start the communication and have the different experiences. Like for you, getting out of Timmy's was probably a lot easier than it was to get out of Boston Pizza, just because of the fact that you've done it, and then after Boston Pizza you went to Earl's and Saw. There's two different contrasts. This isn't real life.
Exactly.
These are both real life. I can choose to have Boston Pizza life, or I can choose to have this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that might help with relationships as well. Is once you see that not every guy or not every girl act the exact same. Once you see that a couple times, you can kind of start picking and choosing where you stay in when you get out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it is so helpful that I think in, like Kyle said, the Boston Pizza thing, because it kind of showed you, like, once you take yourself out of this, it lets you know that something as simple as just like where you're spending your time can have so much impact on the rest of your life.
Seriously, yeah.
And then once you have that idea, like, hey, like, because you can sit there and think, well, even if I quit Boston Pizza, my life is shit. But it's not, though.
Yeah,
you can really see
that.
that. And then you can think, like, man, like, the moment you're able to change yourself, things can get better. And you know, shout out to all the OGs that remember, like, the second or third podcast we did. But I mentioned, like, basically my life motto, the one quote that I've always taken with me is you have to be willing to give up who you are for what you can become. And I feel like that almost falls into this accidental conversation we're having right now, where like, you know, in those situations, sometimes you can feel like in a toxic relationship, we're using that example, you can feel like that's like everything. Mm-hmm. But if you're not willing to like give that up, you don't know how much healthier you can become outside of that, because this is all you've known, or you feel trapped.
Yeah, well, it becomes a hole. Like, you're just stuck in this thing that you either, whether you dug it yourself or you got buried kind of thing. You're just there and you don't see anything around you, and you have no idea that if you just take that step out, everything's greener over there. Like, it's just the sun's out, but you're in this dark hole, and you're stuck there. You're literally stuck, and you don't know how to get out, and you don't even realize that there is a potential to get out of those situations.
Absolutely.
And, it's easy to get dark.
I'm gonna throw a ladder in that hole, and let's move to your happy face. Let's get out of this darkness. Let's get to where you are now.
So things have gotten obviously better. You're back in. You're back out here, and you're working on your own business now.
Yeah, I don't know. So, like, being at Tim Hortons, because it was bad right from the beginning, and, like, I didn't go into it with high hopes of, like, this is going to be so fun. It was like, I haven't talked to my parents in a while, but this might work out for the better.
Yeah.
So it was like, from early on, I need a plan. I need an escape route. Like, so I just put every dollar I could make away, and I just struggled as much as I could on purpose, just waiting for, like, some sort of opportunity. And then at the very end of last year, a couple of things kind of just happened in my life, and I took that however, I'm trying not to get too personal, because it was something that, like, kind of perceived as, like, a negative situation, and I flipped it around and I turned it into, like, potentially one of the best decisions of my whole life. So I ended up coming back. I moved back and just found my own apartment. And I'm just, like, fully on my own. Like, I have just me and my son. And, man, I don't know. Life is so weird, because I have, like, I don't know what tomorrow has in store. But it's just so much fun being able to just wake up and just decide what I want to do each day.
Right.
So
yeah, you don't know what's coming tomorrow, but you enjoy every day.
Yeah. So it's really, really cool. So, like, every day,
I'm
like,
jealous of that feeling.
It's man, because, like, you have no idea. Like, I have, like, it's easy to say that I have no direction in a sense, but I'm, like, blindly following my intuition, I guess. And I'm just trying to, like, I've dealt with so much shit for so many years that I'm just dedicating this 1 year to just, like, how creative can I be? How outgoing can I be? Like, what can I do with my life in 1 year? And I'm just trying to see what happens with all of that. So it's like I have all of this freedom, yet I wake up before the sun rises, and I go to bed when the sun sets, and I'm just like,
shit.
It's either like if I have my son with me, then we just play all day. But, like, if I don't have my son with me, I'm just either sitting at my computer or, like, just doing specific different tasks that are, like, leading towards different goals, and just dipping my toes in a lot of stuff.
The passion kind of thing, where it's it's. If you had a job, you do 8 hours, you try and forget about it. But when you have a passion, you can go 16 hours, it feels like you just woke up.
That's just it. And it really feels like that right now. And it's such a weird feeling, because I have so much freedom, and I'm, like, specifically choosing to work harder than I ever have in a sense, and it's so rewarding.
And I guess we know what you're talking about, but you haven't actually said what your job is. Just so anybody is listening,
I don't have a job.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because I have built about 3 websites so far, but I'm not ready to start advertising them as of yet. So I'm not really talking about them too much. Okay. But like my main task right now is like I'm opening up a legitimate like media company, like a more along the lines of like professional photography, but I'm then also jumping into eventually commercial work and videography and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I have like my portfolio webpage. I just kind of got it finalized in like a passable rough draft. So I'm going to be posting that soon and then getting some business cards out. And then it's just kind of doing more high-end professional work of like headshots and like studio photography. I've had a camera with me for the past 10 years and I love photography. But at the end of the day, I've always hated the idea of like almost anyone nowadays can just buy a good camera and become a photographer, and they're just that like lifestyle photographer of like just go stand in a field and just pretend to laugh and I'll take your picture and like the pictures are gonna look nice, but it's like that's what fucking everyone's doing. And I've never liked it. So I have like a legitimate studio. Like I have an actual studio with lighting and just anything I could possibly need, and I just stand in the middle of it and I just go, fuck yeah, like what do I want to do today? So I just did like 4 studio shoots the back-to-back last week, and they all turned out awesome. And then this week it was like I had a bit of free time and I'm like, I'm gonna do some cool photos of like products. So I spent like an afternoon taking a picture of like a shoe and it turned out looking really cool. And it's like, okay, yeah, so I have this now. So what do I want to do with it next? So then once I have like more of a portfolio for studio photography, then I can start advertising like more product stuff with again trying to get into the commercial side.
Actually, like sell your skills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I've seen the pictures; they look good. And if I ever start looking good online, you're gonna know why. Like, if I ever post a good picture, we're gonna know where it came from.
All we had to do to get attracted was to hire a professional.
Weird how that works.
This is probably be a hot debate topic. Well, yeah, that's the attitude we're going.
But it's been a lot of fun, and it's been working out like so interestingly, because like everything kind of leads into the next thing, where like all of a sudden one week I'm doing something completely different from the last week, but then 2 weeks later all of a sudden that skill is like being utilized in an actual paying job. It's like fuck yeah, man, it's been working out really cool. So
that's awesome. That's how it should be. When you find what you actually enjoy, well, you found it before, but when you realize that this is kind of I can put my own. I like it enough that if I put all of me into it, something good will come. Either I'm gonna have good days and no money, or I'm gonna have good days and money. Either way, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah. So after Tim Hortons, it was like I can't do this anymore. Like I can't work 8 hours and hate it, and then go home and just be upset about it because I hate my situation. Like I can't live like this anymore. Yeah. So I just made that big decision of like I'm literally not going to do this anymore, and I'm just going to see how long I can go until I have to go with my tail between my legs kind of thing and just get a normal job. But so far it seems like this is the right thing to be doing, and it feels like the right thing, and it's been so exciting. So
not a serious point to remember, but something that made me laugh is you were talking about how, because your schedule is so free, you you go to bed and wake up whenever you want to, and you've been going to bed when the sun goes down, waking up before it's up and stuff like that. I'm like, that sounds so healthy, like you can get so much done. And I'm like, man, I was a time in my life when I was like that, but I chose to go to bed at 5 a.m. and wake up at
okay, I'll be honest, I'm on like day 3 of like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Like the past couple of days have been like heavy work, and like I'm bogging down. So I think tomorrow's gonna be like my first day off, and like my version of a day off in like a couple of weeks, and I'm excited for it.
There you go.
Because like today, even I was talking to you before, I'm like I filmed a whole video before I came here. I'm like trying to build something, because another thing I'm working on is like I have a 3D printer and I do a lot of computer design, and I'm trying to like design and build things, and that one's been a lot of fun, but it takes so much work.
I can't imagine.
It's trippy. I'm like, I'm almost ready to launch that one soon, and I'm going to start making some things. So, but with that being said, like today I was like kind of on a downhill. Like I was like, okay, I'm like I was getting frustrated trying to make this one stupid video, and it was so simple, and it was just like tiny things just weren't going perfect.
Yeah.
So just getting a little annoyed, and then 11:30 hits. I'm like, oh fuck! Now I gotta go do a podcast. Oh man! I'm like running around trying to get all my gear ready. And it's just like, bro, like just chill out, man. Like none of this even matters. Like just chill out for a second. And it was actually this moment where I'm like, oh no, yeah, I'm getting really frustrated right now. Maybe I'm doing this a little too hard right now. Like I need to just tone her down. So, so that's what today's been. It's kind of this realization where it's like, man, I can't work myself into the ground. So,
there's good takeaways there for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy because everything you're saying, it's like, I don't know exactly how far you can go with everything, but every story you hear of somebody successful, it sounds like this. This is how it starts off. It starts off with a guy that just found, I don't want to jinx it. Do not want to jinx it. But, like, anybody you hear, it's like, they start doing something for, money is the end, isn't really the end goal, it's just something that will come out of it.
Yeah.
You're going to take a million photographs of a shoe, just in case you get a deal to take pictures of socks, and you have the same idea. You're doing all the things that will eventually make money. And every story you ever hear of any self-made entrepreneur kind of guy, that's what it starts as. So, just from the outside looking in, I feel giddy inside for
right?
it.
You get fired up because you watch all those Gary Vee videos and you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I would quote him, but I don't have anything.
All his quotes are kind of mean. So.
Most of them, yeah.
Now, to quickly switch it up, since we're off the biography section of this podcast, now I had a question for you guys. And I was watching some local news, and by local news, I mean it's not local at all. It's on YouTube, and it has nothing to do with us. In a situation, we have a YouTuber that I'm not even going to bring up who he is because he's a fucking idiot. It doesn't matter. Now, he's had several controversies, and basically, it's just him chilling, and then all of a sudden you get, boom, exposure. Look at all these terrible things that this person has done. And then you know how it is, these guys online, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't what I thought it was, it's not my fault, but I'm apologizing anyway. Yeah. Now, in this situation, the expose has come after the I'm sorry. He kind of is trying to, like, get on top of it and basically, defend himself and apologize before he's even really been blasted, just because he knew it's coming. Do you think in situations it's easier to just jump over something and basically expose yourself than to like let these people kind of talk all this shit and kind of start the narrative? Do you think that is advantageous? Like,
I feel like so the first question I have is his entire content based on that's what he does for his videos?
His brand is him. Okay. No, his brand is him.
Oh, okay.
It's James Charles, if you don't.
No, I didn't know.
He's a makeup guy. But he sells makeup based off his brand of himself.
Okay, so he has an image, and he's calling people out.
Well, he got exposed. I guess I gotta get the details to give you better context. He's been exposed for talking to younger guys that are underage, and so most people don't like him anymore. He's kind of
I think he said something in his videos about it, as if it was just a normal thing as well.
Yeah, so him apologizing for it, and levels of accountability. They're all just kind of bullshit apologies. But most recently, he's getting somebody else is coming out of the woodwork and basically coming up with all these other claims that don't have really anything to do with him being a predator, but more of just shitty character. Mm-hmm. And this guy, he basically is just coming out on top of it all and just trying to basically say she's lying. And everyone else is kind of just wait, what did she say though? Because those exposés haven't really even hit yet, so you don't really know. It's just
So for me, who gives a fuck about his character if he's talking to little kids?
Okay,
that part doesn't matter. It's you can't apologize for the kids. You can apologize for being a shitty person. You're allowed to be a shitty person. Anybody's allowed to be shitty. If you talk to kids, you can't apologize enough to me. There's no apology necessary. Whatever you did, you need to be exposed for it, and you need to be somewhat accountable. If he talked to kids and then he brought wanted them to go somewhere, that's what the Catch a Predator guys go for. That exact person. And you're famous and you say sorry, so now it's we're cool. get the fuck out of here. Like, stop. Don't worry about the character part.
I low-key was trying to avoid bringing up the other stuff. So
that was the only part that mattered.
I know, because as soon as you bring up, oh, well, he did that? Oh, fuck everything.
Literally, though, I feel like that's kind of like, that's where the line is. Like, oh, he dipped it. Like,
Ellen was known as a bitch on her cast, but she never talked to underage girls. So she can go back to work. That's completely fine with me. That's it. Like, if she was talking to 17-year-old girls or 16 or whatever, yeah, you can have... The rest of it, you can't... that doesn't matter anymore, you're here. But if you're just a bitch, you're just a bitch. Bitches are allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
I feel like that's a great point, though. It's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I can still at least watch that show and enjoy it. If I'm going to watch the YouTube, it's like, no, that guy is a piece of shit. Hold on a sec.
Definitely levels of magnitude. It's like, oh, I really don't like their personality. They're not very pleasant. And there's like... oh, you're a pedophile. You're a predator.
Yeah.
You know, and to that point, I completely agree. I think it definitely negates everything else I was talking about. But it actually also reminds me, there was another, like, YouTube story. This guy, EDP445, I don't know, shitty username, big fat black guy, talks about shit. He literally is just this YouTuber guy. It's been around forever. And he was on one of those, like, predator, poacher YouTube channels where he showed up to meet some young girl.
Oh.
And the guy's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, man, am I going to jail? Like, it was super cringe. Because
that guy had a video previously talking about, like, it's not that weird going after 15-year-olds.
Well, no, because what happened was he's been, like, people have called him out for messaging underage people before. Really? This isn't, like, a new thing.
Yeah.
And he made a video basically saying he would never, denying it up and down, saying, I don't do that, it makes me sick. Like, he said he was like, not about it. And now this happened. Yeah. And he got caught in the flesh. Yeah. It wasn't just like they leaked some messages. He showed up.
Yeah.
He was here to meet the decoy. He was ready to go. He brought Jimmy's, I think. Like, he was ready to go. And then he basically, like, admits to all of his faults. He's super accountable in the video. And he's like, wondering, like, oh, I'm just, like, worried about going to jail and stuff like that. Like, thinks he should be in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he's, like, on the phone or something, and he ends up, like, leaving. And they're just, like, you know, turning everything over to authorities or whatever. But then a twist of events, the dude that exposed him got exposed for saying a bunch of racist shit in the past, so, like, on video, and he gets deleted off YouTube, and it seems like everything's kind of falling to the wayside.
I feel like those are two different scenarios. Like, if you're racist, you're just a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
It's like you probably got brought up a little wrong. Like your parents probably were racist, but like
Chilliwack.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. Like, but yeah, if you're actually like going after young children, that's a whole other level of like who you are on the inside.
Yeah. So YouTube's kicked him off YouTube.
Okay.
But he's making his own website, and he released a video on his own website.
I'll make my own website.
Basically just cussing out the dude that got him banned, calling him a fucking idiot, all this stuff.
Wow.
Doesn't address anything about the fact that he got caught and trying to meet up with a little girl.
I feel like at that stage, like... So, the thing with online is, people will have, like, their... who they are as a person, and then they have their persona. Mm-hmm. And they tend to be very different, and they forget that it's the same person. So once they are accustomed to their persona, it kind of turns into this thing of like, all I need to do is be that person, and if I continue being that person, things will just kind of catch on again, and people don't really question things that happened in the past. So if he just continues making his own content on his own site where it has no connection to his past, chances are his personality that he's already honed in will start gaining traction again. And it's this thing where he is then disconnecting who he is on the inside versus who he is on the outside into two different people again, forgetting that it's still the same person, right?
Changing and creating his own new narrative.
Exactly, yeah. So then he can just kind of keep doing the same thing he was doing because that's what he knows how to do, and he knows how to then gain that traction again, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this thing of like, once you've been doing it for that long, man, what's going to stop me?
I totally agree with that. And the thing is I don't really want him to be successful because he's
no.
So like,
yeah,
but it's tough because what you're saying is very real. But I feel like my hope though is that because he's making a new website.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid. Most people who do that, it doesn't work.
Right? Because like, who's gonna go? I was like, man, I can't watch this guy on YouTube anymore. I'll go to this random website.
You have to have a huge name to just create your own YouTube that's just you talking.
Yeah,
because it's like you get you get views once a week.
Me too.
Like, yeah,
It's just me. The whole thing.
Can you imagine if you spelt that wrong and all of a sudden it's meat tube, and I bet that's a porn site. I don't know. I
Jamie?
don't know. I promise.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that
I don't know, but I bet it is.
like,
Oh, it's
even with it, like, how do people have the audacity to message like anybody on the internet? Like, if I were to go onto, like, you see Barstool Sports, they start posting a bunch of like half naked girls or whatever. I'm not even gonna follow that because I know Brittany might take a look and see that, or my friends might take a look and see, oh, this guy's doing this. But these people are like, oh, look, it's a 15-year-old on TikTok. I could probably DM her. Nobody will know. Like, I've only got like 50,000 followers that care about what I talk about. They won't know. Like, how do they have the balls to just go ahead and do reckless shit like that?
Honestly, like, I swear, like, like, how many times do famous dudes have to get exposed for guys to, like, realize, bro, you need to, like, sign NDAs to talk to anybody?
Honestly,
pretty much, yeah.
that's basically what I think Justin Bieber, if you go to his, obviously none of us are going to his house, but when he has anybody to his house, they have to sign an NDA before they go in. Whether or not they're like dating, doing whatever, they just have to sign one before they go in because he's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say.
Yeah,
Like, if I say one bad thing, you could corrupt like $1 billion business.
Yeah.
So
you gotta bring.
They don't let anybody
that.
talk.
I can't even
Makes
imagine
sense.
living a life like that where you're so paranoid about, like, what people may or may not say about you or something like that. Like,
Everybody lives that life.
Yeah,
That's the thing. He has actual consequences. Like if something happened to us, the consequence would be that 7 of our friends would stop hanging out with us. So we'd be down to 1. But for him, it's an entire business. He loses sponsorships. He loses blah, blah, blah. But we have the exact same feeling. It's just that we don't know what's on the other side of it.
I guess I feel like the difference is that things that we do, like, yeah, like, we live in a world where we can also get, like, exposed, but things that he would get exposed for are like, usually more, it's just, like, it's a bigger thing and it's a more broad-reaching area than something that we could get in trouble for. Like, if I said something like, man, I think Ellen fucking sucks because of so-and-so, you know, no one cares. But, like, he could say, Ellen's a fucking bitch, fuck her, and all of a sudden it's like, Justin Bieber doesn't like Ellen?
Yeah.
What is the beef? Ellen, what do you have to say? Address this concern.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
everywhere.
true. Yeah.
I guess that's a shitty example of a broad-reaching thing, but I guess that's what I kind of mean. There's things that he could get in shit for, or get blasted for, or exposed for, that'll make a headline, that I could do, and you're like, like, no one gives a fuck.
Not gonna lie, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to tweet something and have everybody mad at everything. Be like, oh, they don't listen.
Kyle's the ambitious one. He's like, I want to.
That's the goal.
I feel like that's Elon Musk. He pisses people off on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? You guys heard about the
fucking
SNL
people.
thing?
Yeah, he goes.
Yeah.
Says Doge Coin's a hustle, and everyone's like, "What?
But
Sell."
But that's the thing, is the only people that were selling were the old people that still watch SNL. Like, nobody watches SNL anymore. You go on YouTube like an adult. You don't wait for Saturday night at like 11 o'clock to start watching comedy.
Right?
Like, this comics everywhere. Like, he says that a bunch of old people still. Yeah. Like, I have cable, but it's because Brittany's dad wants it.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I don't
There you
use
go.
it.
Yeah. You don't have cable. Brittany's dad has cable. You pay for.
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, so basically, I'd heard somebody talking about Elon Musk and how because everything he does seems like it's just straight calculated. Like, his presence on Twitter is just making jokes and kind of seeming funny and relatable, even though he's a billionaire. Like, he's one of the richest people around, but everybody thinks of him as Elon Musk. Not the CEO of Walmart, not the CEO of Walgreens, wherever. He's Elon Musk. So he kind of makes it so that people like him, even though they shouldn't. He's the anti of everybody that would not want billionaires anymore.
It's guerrilla advertising, really, because, like, Tesla doesn't even have a PR department. They don't do advertising. It's like Lamborghini. Like, no, you don't see a Lamborghini commercial.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So he has this image to uphold because he wants people talking about him. Like, whether or not it's calculated or he's just being an idiot on purpose kind of thing, like, just to have fun, either situation, it's still, like, on purpose in the sense of
Yeah.
the more people are talking about me, the more advertising that I have, and like
Right.
I'm launching rockets too, by the way. Oh yeah, buy Dogecoin. Oh, I'm also launching rockets though. Rockets.
Yeah, he just tweets about SpaceX all the time.
Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm putting a Dogecoin on the moon with my rockets. So it's just advertising, really.
The paranoid bum in me is like, man, I gotta turn on my notifications for Elon Musk. I never know if the world's gonna turn today because of one of his tweets. So I see all of his shit all the time now.
Nice.
Yeah, if you ever see Elon Musk tweet "whoops," like bunker down. You don't know what just happened.
Right? I think it's funny you say that though about him like being so off-brand because there's a picture that I saw circulating all the meme pages on Instagram recently where it's like billionaire here, look at this billionaire, all these like rich people just being like normal in their suits, being professional, and it's Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. He's got the thighs, like yes, he's just getting ripped, and I was like,
That's funny.
that's why he's fucking, he's found this like, almost like Seth Rogen comfortableness where it's like he can talk about things that aren't professional and do things that aren't professional, and people are just like, but I fucking love that person and everything they create, and you're just like all over it, regardless. Like,
Because it's a level of raw that you just don't see in that level of professionalism.
Yeah, a real life person.
money.
Yeah, so whether it's calculated or not, whether it's just him being him, or whether it's like, I need to be this kind of relatable person so that I improve my image, at the end of the day, it's still like, that's him saying all that shit, right? Like, I can try and be the most outgoing person I can, or I can be like more professional, but at the end of the day, I'm choosing both of those situations, right? So it's a pretty interesting thing, and I think that's why so many people like him. But also, like, he can come off as an idiot so many times.
I have a buddy of mine that I work with, and he's been trading stocks for a while, and like I've tried it here and there, and then I was off it, and then he'd been talking about it so much, and I'm like, let me dabble, because like I come home. Basically, the thought process to me was like, I come home, if I got nothing to do, and I go play Xbox, talk to the boys. Maybe we'll play some like NBA 2K or something, and we'll play like my team or Ultimate Team or whatever the fuck team it is for that particular sports game. And it's like, oh, if you don't already know, you build your team with all these superstar players. But like you gotta play hours and hours to earn points to buy packs of cards, like Pokemon cards, and then you open it up and you'll get like a cool player in one, and you'll get to use that player. And I'm like, what if I just like buy them though? And next thing you know, it's like $20 a day keeps Dustin happy, and I'm all of a sudden I'm like, you paid what, $70 for the game, and maybe you put like, I remember one NHL when I was in college. Oh my god, I probably put $280 into my Ultimate Team. Easy. No way. And I was like, I stopped playing Ultimate Team after that because I was like, I can't afford to just be dropping $400 on this title every year. It's not okay. And like, yeah, I've slipped up and done it on different titles on different years because fact that it was NHL, and then maybe 4 years later I did it in Madden, and then this year I did it in NBA, and I'm like, fuck, Dustin, stop. But like, I was like, if I'm just going home and just like casually throwing $20 into my video game, what if I casually threw $20 into an investment? Maybe I'd be an adult one day. Like, that was the thought process.
The right way to think about it.
And then so like, I talked to him about it, so now like, I have like, it's not like I have a lot of money into it, like, it's chill, but like, he's investing all the time. I'm like, man, and I'm like, I see like the Doge Coin tweets and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue what's going on, but like, who knows? Maybe it is going to the moon. Maybe fucking Bitcoin's going to the moon. So, I know you know more about this, so you can.
Are we talking about Dogecoin for a second? Or?
I only know a little bit about Dogecoin, but from the outside looking in, it's obviously it's a made up one off the meme of the Shiba Inu or whatever the dog is. Yeah. But it seems like it's gonna keep going up until the people that have the most money in it will pull out. Like I feel like it's set up so that regular people it's cool, it's Dogecoin, whatever, they put their money in, and then the people with all the money, once it gets to like the $5 whatever, they decide, okay, we're done. We take it out, now we put it into the Bitcoin or whatever the cryptocurrency they actually want to go. Nobody wants Dogecoin to be the real currency. That's the big key with Bitcoin, is that it's supposed to take over for the dollar, not that you just, it's worth so much dollars you can trade it in. The idea is that eventually it's worth so much Bitcoin, and dollars are worth so much Bitcoin, not that it's a different entity, I guess.
No, that's quite accurate. It's like, at the end of the day, like, the famous saying is, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So, like, for all we know, like, Dogecoin might just be launching. It just keeps going and going because, like, it's the game theory where the higher it goes, the more people want to get into it. And as long as those people hold on to it, it'll stabilize, and then that's its new price, right? But yeah, like you're saying, the supply of it is, like, there's billions of it, and there's thousands made every day. I think even more. I think the white paper says there's like a couple million made every day. So like the inflation rate of it is massive, right? Like it's just the supply is getting added to every single day. But yeah, there's that potential of the people in the beginning where it was like almost free to purchase. You can buy so much of it that now that it is almost worth $1, these new people who are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get rich because it is about to hit $1. It's like, well, yeah, but you're dealing with pennies where those people are dealing with millions and billions. Like I think it's at 70 billion now or something like that. Or no, I don't think it's that high. But it might be. But
it could be anything. Like, I think when it first started, it was at a penny. So people were buying like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands at a penny.
Yeah, yeah.
So once it gets to $1, that's big money. Yeah,
the people don't realize it's like the tokenomics behind it, basically, of like the spot price times the actual circulating supply, and it's just in order to make a profit off of it, you have to either buy a lot before everyone else, or you just have to play that I might risk everything kind of game. So you just throw everything in and hope that you can take it out before everyone else does, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So and you look at the past history of it, and it's a pretty consistent thing of like it shoots right up, and everyone gets super excited, and everyone talks about it, and everyone talks like, oh, it's taking over Bitcoin, and then it crashes again, and then it goes back into the normal of like, oh, okay, these are the real coins. And then a couple years go by, and then all of a sudden it fucking happens again. And everyone's like, oh, this is the real thing. And now we're here. So banks are going to figure out how to step around it and just make a better product of what they're offering, which they can. Or it could literally suck the entire financial world upside down. Like it's the potential behind all of it is just, it's mind-boggling. The math behind it all is just absolutely insane. Yeah. But it comes down to, they're all so in their infancy that if the banks can figure out how to step in and just do their own version of it, and like a version that they can fully control, then it could just be tossed off as like, oh, well, that was a fun experiment, and just kind of goes away.
That's the big hard part, though, is that the big like kind of driving force behind Bitcoin is that it's not controlled by anybody. Technically, anybody could go out, start mining, do it. Nobody actually holds on to it, because like for a bank, for instance, like when we put our money in, technically all we're doing is we're borrowing it to them, so they have the money, and if we go to get it and they happen to go under or whatever, it's no longer there. Whereas in Bitcoin, there's nobody that is in charge of that money. It's always changing. So that's where the big risk in it obviously is, but it's your money. There's nobody else that's kind of dipping their toes into it.
Yeah, you have 100% control about it. The thing I find crazy about banks is like it's just been going on for so long, and everyone's been so unaware of this. But now that information's becoming more freely available, it's starting to become apparent that like banks are just controlling everything, and like not in this like, oh, big banks and like everything, that conspiracy is like, no, legitimately, like we pay money for the allowance for them to hold on to our wealth so that we're not encumbered with all of our currencies and stuff. We don't have to have paper money anymore. So we pay for that premium, but on top of it, they're also then using that money to their advantage so that they can profit off of it. And it's like, there's no secret about that. That's just how it works. So we pay them for a service that they benefit from immensely. So it's so crazy. Because on top of it, when you're making, like if you're doing a transfer and you want to send money to like a different bank account or pay for something online, it's seemingly instant. But what's actually happening underneath is like it has to go through different companies, and like people have to sign off on it, and like the actual transfer takes days, where for you and me it seems like it's right away. Where with currency or cryptocurrencies, it's when it goes from one account to the next account, and then that's it. It's just direct access. So there's a lot of potential for it. Yeah. So it's a crazy thing, but banks just have so much power.
Now I just feel like an asshole for having a bank account, but I'm like, man.
The bank
fucking holding it all under my bed. I'm like, then someone could just take it. What was worse?
But put it in Bitcoin.
But someone taking it, or the bank fucking using it? I don't know.
Now there's options.
When you say like that, though, how much money are we actually keeping in our accounts often?
Oh,
Are we keeping are we filling up the bank? Are we getting paid and then paying our bills? We're paying our mortgage, we're paying our gas, right? Like, we're paying most of our things right away. So at most you're having like 5 bills underneath your bed if you're not making like a crazy amount of money. Mm-hmm. So you're not really, they're not helping us. Like for people that are making millions, yeah, you should have to pay a premium for somebody to hold on, manage and ledger your money. But for people like us, we're paying you $40 to show us how much money we have. It seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a fine line. Like, I could get into it a little bit more and say, like, what if there was a scenario where every single paycheck you put all of your money into Bitcoin and then actually put it on a contract where you could like lend it out to a company or lend it out to essentially a website or a smart contract. So with that lend, you're providing that contract liquidity, and you can take out loans from your own, you can loan them money and then you can borrow money off of them. So you're taking a loan out of your own assets. So you could essentially always put your money in, and then as you need it, you just take out little bits as a loan, and you're never actually touching your underlying asset. So as that thing increases in value over the years, eventually your loan that you took out from yourself, it becomes easier and easier to pay off, because then you could take out another loan from your same asset, pay off the first loan, get that asset back, and then take out an even bigger loan. And you can kind of just keep transferring money back and forth. That's provided if this is a thing that continues to rise in a asset price. If this truly does happen, then there's a potential to just live off of your own money for the rest of your life, and that's a really, really trippy thing. So
you said a lot of things.
Yeah, that's some real shit.
I was mostly following, but I got a couple questions. So the main difference in this scenario is that when you put your money into the Bitcoin and then take loans out of that, is that unlike if you were to put your money into a bank account, technically anytime that they make money, your money depreciates. So the money that's in there is no longer an asset. You're kind of losing money as you're going. Whereas when you put into Bitcoin, it's that amount. It's that amount, and it's going up, and it's always worth that amount.
Yeah. So, like, let's say to make it easy numbers, let's say you put in 1 Bitcoin into this like smart contract. So, whatever the value of that at the time, you can take out that much money. Like, you can't take out, like, there still has to be that wiggle room. But let's say you put in 1 Bitcoin at that time, it was worth $20,000. You can take out $10,000. Later on, when that 1 Bitcoin is then worth $50,000, you only still have to put in $10,000 to get your 1 coin back. Okay. So there's a difference between the 1 Bitcoin versus the monetary value that you took out at that current time.
Okay, so it's an investment without as much risk.
Yeah,
I guess, because you risk the 10 grand. You already know you have 20. You're taking 10 out of it, and worst case scenario, you owe 10 back. But best case scenario, you've got 50 grand there. You put the 10. Now you're sitting with 40 grand.
Yeah. So then you can rinse and repeat and just kind of keep doing this, and provided this truly is a deflationary asset that's just slowly over time, more and more people are going to invest into it and understand that they can truly become their own bank and just live off of their own investments and actually own their money for once in their life. Then there really isn't a need to have any banks, because those services can be provided within different assets or within different networks and ecosystems within the whole cryptocurrency world. It's really trippy, and there's so much potential that I don't think most people have realized, but because it's only potential and it's not 100% realized by the majority, it can be easily capped off as like, fuck, it is a scam kind of thing. Yeah. But
I feel like what you're saying right now in 10 to 15 years will just be normal. Because
quite possibly.
Because right now, like, I kind of look at the entire world where there's people that are still in charge, that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, that didn't grow up with computers. They didn't grow up. The biggest thing that they saw was phone went from wired to unwired.
Yeah.
That was their big thing. Whereas, like, our age, we kind of at around 10 or 11, we started seeing computers. The age underneath us, they're born with them. Like my daughter understands to grab the Xbox controller when she wants to watch TV. She understands technology.
My son asks a fucking robot questions about the day, and it answers. And he's going to grow up in that world. That's crazy.
So in 20 years from now, these are the people that are going to be kind of in charge. Their whole lives, they understood that technology is easier.
Yeah.
That doing something by hand or going to the library to look up what happened last week or like 10 years ago, you could just look at this and ask it. So they're going to start looking at, okay, bank, do I need to go in, wait in a line to do anything in my life? No, I could, if I wanted dishes, I could skip the dishes right now without leaving my room. Why do I need to go to the bank to get cash?
Yeah,
100%. So like, the conversation you have is, I think it's ahead of its time, but it's going to be what the regular is.
Quite potentially, yeah. Because the people that are in power right now, and like, I hate talking about conspiracy and like big government and all that shit. Like
I love it.
Only because it's such a deep hole and there's so many aspects to it, right? But like beyond,
you hate it, he loves it.
Beyond all of that, the people who are in power right now are exactly what you said. Like these are people who grew up like in a very different world, a very different mindset. Everything was different for them, and just. Things are now becoming changing, and it's just normal for us. So of course those people are going to go, no, that's the most ridiculous thing. That makes no sense. It'll never work, because they do not have the ability to understand something like that.
Yeah. I heard a quote: "Power always tries to power rejects greatness."
Yeah.
If you're in power and you don't have the best product, you're going to reject anybody else that's trying to come at that, because. If they're better than you, everybody will know it once it gets out to the light. Yeah. So they have to try and stifle
All
it.
you can do is just try and shit talk that one thing for as long as possible, so that you can hold on to your piece of the pie before you...
Basically how Dustin argues. Doesn't matter what your point is, as long as I can fight you long enough so you forget.
Speaking of fighting, segue. Yo, Logan Paul, Jake Paul.
Let's hear it. I want to hear this.
Okay, so Jake Paul just fought... So I guess we'll start from the beginning. Jake Paul, YouTuber.
Yeah.
He does a YouTube celebrity boxing match a couple years back against this guy named Deji. Deji's like a fat gamer guy. He's not really that athletic, so he gets knocked out. No one's not really surprised, because Jake was a pretty good wrestler and high school football player back in the day. He's in good shape. Well, Jake's been training this whole time since then, so he's been he fell in love with boxing after that, and he's been hard, consistent training, and like the most legitimate thing you can say about this guy is he's been pouring so much hours and effort into training to be a boxer, despite having really nothing before that.
Yeah, he's in the last 2 years he's become a boxer.
Yeah. Then he fought this guy, after he fought that guy, everyone was like, hey, well, you didn't fight anybody good, like fight, this guy named Nate Robinson, who's a pro NBA player. At least he's an athlete. So then you fight this guy. Well, Nate Robinson is not really that imposing of a boxer, so Nate Robinson gets knocked out too.
And the funny part, Nate Robinson was talking all this shit like, oh, I've been boxing since I was 8, and then he gets in the ring and he's
throwing these terrible hands.
Okay, I already have some ideas, but I want to hear this.
So Jake knocks him out too.
Yeah.
And it's like really ugly. It's a good clip of him getting knocked out. It was everywhere. Well, then everyone's like, hey, well, you fought this guy. He's a shit basketball player. He just wasn't impressive. Now you gotta fight like an actual fighter. So then he fights this guy named Ben Askren. Ben Askren's a former UFC fighter and Olympic judo champion, I think. But
Olympic wrestling.
Olympic wrestling? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Yeah, Ronda Rousey's judo. Anyways, Olympic wrestler. So he's got merit, legitimate fighting merit. People are just concerned, though, because he's not a striker. He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
So he pushes people around. He can take him. Yeah. Everyone's like, but he's fought guys that were legit strikers, and there's clips of him getting pounded on, and he's fine. So like he can handle it. He can do this. He can knock out Jake. But then he shows up to like weigh-ins. He looks fat. And I guess that's like his MO. He always looks fat.
Yeah, he's always been
I'm just like,
fluffy.
huh? And then they fight, and then it's like 30 seconds in, Jake knocks him out too.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, man,
and
somebody hit this guy.
The big thing with it is that he knocked, like, when he said he gets pummeled, Ben Askren has only been knocked out once. It was a flying knee, just disgusting. He's infamous for it because he got knocked out by it. But other than that, he's never even been like stunned in his entire career. And he lasted like 30 seconds with Jake Paul in a ring.
So that's taking real abuse, gets wobbled in 30 seconds. So people
When was the last time he fought? A while.
I think it's probably been a minute for sure.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half or something.
But So now everyone's like, okay, well, this guy's not, he's not a good fighter. That was bullshit,
well,
too.
everything is a muscle. Like,
Yeah.
even being punched in the face, you get good at that, and then you don't get good at it.
So the thing is now Jake, he's on fucking top of the world because he's the man. He made a fuckload of money selling pay-per-views.
See, this is where I'm seeing this. He's a businessman.
Yeah, everyone wants to knock him out, right?
You've never heard of Jake and Logan Paul?
No, so I know who they are.
Okay.
I just don't follow them on purpose. I knew that there's been some boxing thing going on with one of them. I thought it was kind of both.
So and it is because his brother Logan Paul. So in that same first boxing match, Logan Paul fought this guy named KSI, who's actually Deji's older brother. KSI is actually the one that was like, I'll fight somebody. He was the one that like started this whole YouTuber boxing thing, and he was actually a good fighter. And him and Logan, you know, they fought to each other. They went to decision the first round, and then they called it a draw.
Yeah.
And then they had a second fight, and then it went to decision again, and they gave it to KSI. And so he was like the man, but then that's basically all been forgotten because Jake Paul's been making money fights.
Yeah,
and so he's making money out of it, whereas
Logan was the
KSI
fall guy just to get publicity.
But then Logan, he takes to another level. He doesn't go after Nate Robinson or Ben Askren. He goes after Floyd Mayweather,
publicity,
the biggest fighter of our generation, arguably history. And now they're set to fight, you know, in a couple weeks. I think it is now. Yeah. But so they had their press conference, I think, a week after Jake won his most recent fight, where he's just like, you know, ecstatic.
He has made $45 million off pay-per-views.
Yeah, everything about this I see from a business.
You're just hearing money,
these guys they picked a niche that isn't really talked about anymore. Boxing used to be huge, and now it's kind of this thing that's off to the side. Because people are like, this is the perfect opportunity to really make a splash in like the general public mass media.
No matter how you look at these guys, they're brilliant business people.
Yeah, it's super tough because like they're really, I mean, for me they're very unlikable, but they're making so much money. Like, what am I gonna say? Like, they're so fucking rich, and it's only continuing because they're like the Kardashians. They can just magnify up people's outrage.
That specifically is like you love to hate them kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's like, hell yeah, I want to watch this guy fight because either he's gonna win and then it's a good fight, or he's gonna get his ass kicked and then I go, fuck yeah! Like, so that's really interesting. And, I think they picked a good choice,
right? And then so most recently, because like I said, there was like the press conference. So Jake Paul shows up at Logan's press conference and gets like in a face-to-face, you know, shit-talking fight with Floyd Mayweather. He like grabs his fucking hat and like just kind of like jokes around, and then he gets like beat up by security, and he enrages Floyd Mayweather to the point where Floyd's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He's like, get the paper and I'll fight both of you in the same night. Like, he's ready to, he just wants to hurt them now.
Well, Floyd is just as money hungry as they are.
I
see all of this as like WWE from the 90s. Of like, it seemed so real at the time, but it was so obviously fake. Like, that's how I see this.
No, and like also for your business idea is that he said, got your hat. So 30 minutes after the fight, he's putting out merch. Gotcha hat merch. He gets a tattoo on his leg. Gotcha hat. Switches his Twitter name. It starts trending immediately.
Yeah, you have to take
I think
things.
he sold out immediately on everything he put out. So that's all he was there for. And then also during the press conference, he pulled his shoelace off. Like just asshole immature things. But
he's making so much money, and it's like, I don't want to see him succeed, but like he's making so much money, and it's so calculated and smart that I'm just like, I have to respect it, you know.
And here's the thing where like, because I watch a lot of their stuff. I don't really watch Jake Paul because that's his whole shtick is being an asshole, and like he's public enemy number one, and like there's some things I'm sure he's done that were exactly that's who he is as a person, but he does a lot of it for the money. So I just don't pay attention to anything he's doing because it's not really positive shit that I want to watch. But Logan Paul, like everything every time Jake does this stuff, it kind of takes away from him because the entire time they're having a proper press conference, they're doing everything normal. And then this huge fight breaks out, and now everybody's like, "Oh, Floyd's gonna really fuck up Logan Paul." And he's like, "I didn't do shit. I was just here. I'm on the sideline. Yeah, he's my brother and everything, but this wasn't my plan."
Yeah.
And so he gets thrown into the kind of we're both the evil guys. Like I think like 5 years ago he did the Japan thing where he went to the suicide forest. Did all that. Since then, it seems like he's been basically like, I've got money, I don't need to be an asshole for fame anymore, so he hasn't been doing like the same crazy shit. But they always get looped into the same kind of circle, it seems like. But the big thing with this fight though is like everybody kind of counts out Logan and Jake, and like Logan's he's not going to beat Floyd Mayweather. Nobody has. So he's not going to beat him. But to clown him to say he won't land the shot, like that's where people are getting a little weird. Same as with Jake Paul saying that he's not a real boxer until he fights. Like they're like talking about fighting Tyson Fury or Canelo. It's like, yeah, he's not a real fighter until he fights the heavyweight champion. You don't know those names, right? As I said it, I was like, he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But
I can't.
Current heavyweight champions.
So basically, they're putting him in they're ranking him as if he should be fighting for the title, but saying he's not a boxer. It's like kind of contradicting opinions.
Man.
But like he's just out here just trying to make money.
But yeah,
yeah. See,
this Floyd fight is going for $100 million each.
I feel like, man, I'm gonna make some wild predictions that are like made up off the top of my head. But I feel like
that's what we do every day.
Mayweather is like I don't follow the boxing world at all. The only time I ever see things about Mayweather is about him talking about all of the money that he has and how much money he's making and just how fucking dirty wealthy he is. He is probably working with them. He's going to lose the fight, and it's going to be the highest paid fight of all time, and Jake Paul or whoever the hell... Yeah, and he's going to lose this fight, and it's going to be like the last time he ever fights because he has so much money at this point, and this is his last chance to make more money than he'll ever make in the rest of his career. So this is the moment where he loses his fight because he's gonna get knocked out by this total fucking douchebag, and they're gonna just all be laughing and all become insanely rich.
There's a small possibility of it.
I love it.
From the outside looking in, that is the perfect model, and if he really cared about just making money, that's what he'd do. But his whole legacy is he's 50-0. Only been knocked down once.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything about this,
So like, business-wise, yours makes sense, but I just don't see it with his ego and his legacy would take such a big hit that he would never be able to have another fight for this amount of money. But
who needs an ego when you got billions?
Yeah. Honestly.
Move to the other side of the world and start a new name.
Honestly, I'm low-key just really jealous of it all because I wish I could make $100 million this year.
Yeah, I would get punched in the face for that much.
Right?
Like, damn.
They had Mike Tyson show up on the Logan Paul podcast, and he was just like, he's like, well, he might like let you hit him like once or twice, like make it look good. He's like, you don't think I can beat it? He's like, it's, you know what? In a boxing fight, anything can happen. Anyone can win. He's like, cool. I'm gonna cut that part out, the first part, and we're just gonna keep that second part in the podcast. I was like, you know what? Nice. These guys are always thinking on their feet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. We've been going for quite a while. I think that's all the steam we got for today. Mm-hmm. So thank you for tuning in again. Matt, do you have anything that they can follow? Your Instagram account? Check out all your...
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm so terrible with.
So this is our first time, so we're good.
Okay. My main Instagram is all1sky, ALL1SKY, I think. And then my portrait Instagram is the Prime Creative, and that's a studio company that's going to be launching pretty soon. So if anyone needs pictures or videos or anything,
we'll be blasting the links to our on all of our posts for all this stuff. So anyone that couldn't catch that off him just saying it, we'll have a link in all the bios and everything.
Yeah. But, and also you got a pause button. Go back. you guys are probably good here, but we'll put it in the link anyway.
Like I said, we're always just thinking on our feet, right? It's been a blessing. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.